So let's talk about that you are today, because, I know our listeners are hearing your lovely voice, but we have the privilege to actually see you face to face here as we're recording. And, the you that you are today, you've shared with us, is very different from the you that you've been in the past. What is one of those changes that has really been instrumental in shaping who you are today?
Yeah. So the three simple strategies that I employed, I'll talk about in a minute, but they're kind of multidimensional. So the change for me is some fundamental changes in my, I guess, approach to my comfort zone barriers. And that may be, in terms of being public, like doing this podcast, putting my picture all over Facebook, letting my picture be taken at events. I often like to be behind the scenes. I felt very uncomfortable. I still feel uncomfortable, but I just make myself do it now. On LinkedIn, if you scroll back a couple years, you'll see I'm, the same person with the same thoughts and same experiences generally, but I did not post much about that. I pretty much only served to share intellectual articles that piqued my interest. So I broadened, how I represent myself, where I show up, how I show up, and how comfortable I am, or at least with the idea of being sort of in the front rather than the nerd behind the curtain that's writing, which was the zone that I felt safe in.
Because you and I have chatted. So just a little sidebar, Natanya and I actually met at a conference in Las Vegas when I was attending to support my sister and she was attending to support a colleague. And we just hit it off. And I remember you saying to me, this isn't normally how I do things. Like I don't normally love to be in the limelight. And, this is a change for me. And when you and I discussed, being able to come on here and sharing some of the journey that you've had, I'm thrilled that you're able to share that with our listeners in terms of the changes that have come into your life. And, you are very scholarly and you work in these really smart circles of scientists and, brain powers. And yet you have a story all your own that you're willing to share with us. So we're really appreciative of that.
Oh, you're too kind. Sorry. I was going to add, the other area that might seem superficial because there is a visual aesthetic component, perhaps for some people, is my outward appearance, which people who have known me throughout my journey have seen the transformation. And that's something also I haven't really spoken about with those who don't know me. And for me, it's not what I appear in terms of who thinks it's nice or doesn't think it's nice. But for me, it was a reflection of my health. And for me, my health, being in the industry, I had so much layered shame and misdiagnoses, and things that I had accepted were just sort of, well, I guess this is how it is now. Okay. Misdiagnoses. And, it was relatively simple. Some simple medical interventions came into play with the right specialist when I kind of had a breaking point of feeling so ill I couldn't cross the room. And I said, this isn't me. I was an athlete. Something is wrong here. And, kind of escalated and up my own voice and my sense of urgency for care. I offer advice for patient advocacy all the time. And here I wasn't being an advocate for myself. And so, I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's a female identifying as female thing. I don't know if it's a parent thing, but, everyone else I had the greatest intentions for, but for myself, I was last, and I perhaps wasn't worthy of fighting for what was the best me. And so when I kind of had that realization and let go of the guilt and the shame over what had happened to my health, my body, my energy, my ability to function in society with my family, to be in celebrations, that kind of thing, it was just transformative. And I realized and recognized right away, because it was a slow process, that sort of high, if you will, that natural high from affecting positive change, I really finally felt it and got it. And I was like, oh, I want everyone to feel this and believe that can happen. And it can be slow and incremental, but I became kind of evangelical now about this is worth it. It's worth kind of reexamining what in your life you might want to be different or do differently, and that it's possible.